No dress
Sad to
can
say we've all
fix
had a
what's
good laugh.
underneath, Ethan said. And the room laughed while his wife stood beside him like she
The night
wasn't
is
even
still young.
human, like she was decoration, like she didn't hear it, but she did, and the question hung in the air without being spoken. Why didn't she react? Why didn't she break? Why didn't she leave him right there? Because Amara Cole was not the woman they thought she was, not even close. And while they laughed, her phone buzzed quietly in her hand, a message she didn't check yet. A system alert tied to a company Ethan thought he controlled. A company that had been bleeding for weeks, numbers off, deals collapsing, partners pulling back, and no one in that room knew the only person holding it together was the woman he just humiliated in public, because every night, while he slept, she rebuilt contracts, rerouted funds, fixed decisions he never understood, kept his empire standing without asking for credit, and across the room, a man named Julian Hayes stopped mid-sentence, watching her, not the insult, not the laughter, her, the way she stood still under pressure, the way she didn't shrink, and something in his expression shifted like he recognized something valuable everyone else missed. And that was the moment Ethan felt it, a flicker of something wrong, something slipping, because for the first time, someone else saw her clearly. And then Amara finally looked down, opened the message, read one line, and without a word, she slipped off her wedding ring and placed it on the table. The ring hit the table and did not move again. Ethan blinked once, then laughed it off like nothing changed. The guests resumed talking, but something felt off. His assistant rushed in, whispering fast, voice tight with urgency. A major deal had stalled. Partners were asking questions already. Ethan frowned, waved it away, blamed poor timing. 3 minutes later, his phone lit up with alerts. Another contract froze. Numbers suddenly stopped aligning properly. Across the room, Julian was no longer watching quietly. He was making a call, eyes still tracking the exit. Ethan noticed that and felt something shift inside. Not anger, something colder, something unfamiliar, like losing ground. He checked his phone again, more alerts, more confusion. His CFO texted, asking who approved last night's corrections. Ethan paused, because he had not approved anything. The system log showed changes. Precise, calculated, perfectly timed. The kind of work his senior team could not execute alone. His assistant spoke again, softer now, almost careful. She said Amara had access to everything, more than anyone realized. Ethan turned toward the door she walked through. For the first time, the room felt louder without her in it. Laughter sounded wrong. Conversations felt forced, like something essential just disappeared. Another alert hit, this time from legal, a compliance issue suddenly exposed. The kind that could shut everything down if ignored. His assistant hesitated, then said one sentence quietly. She said Amara fixed that same issue last quarter overnight. Ethan's jaw tightened, because no one told him that before. Across the room, Julian ended his call and started moving. Not toward Ethan, toward the exit she used. Ethan took one step forward, then stopped, because his phone buzzed again. A final alert, marked urgent, system override required, authorized only by her. And for the first time, Ethan asked himself one question he could not ignore. How much of his world was still standing because of her, and what would happen now that she was gone? The next morning, her name appeared on a guest list no one expected. Not as someone's wife, not as background, but as a consultant. The room shifted when she walked in, not loud, but noticeable. Conversations paused half a second longer than they should. A coordinator approached her first, offering a better seat without asking. That never happened before. Amara nodded once, calm, controlled, like she belonged there. Because now she did. Across the table, two executives lowered their voices, asking who she was. One of them already knew. He said her name with respect, not curiosity. He said she fixed a deal everyone thought was dead. The other man straightened in his chair, suddenly paying attention. Amara opened her folder, not rushed, not nervous. She spoke once, and the room followed. Not because she demanded it, but because she made sense. Clear, precise, impossible to ignore. A senior partner leaned forward, asking for her input directly. No one interrupted her this time. No one laughed. Outside the glass walls, assistants were already taking notes. Inside, something shifted permanently. Respect was no longer optional, it was automatic. Miles away, Ethan sat in his office, staring at reports that still did not align. His team was quiet, too quiet. No one had answers that held. Then his phone buzzed with a forwarded message. A meeting summary, his competitor's name at the top. Julian Hayes. And beneath it, one line that made his chest tighten. Strategic corrections led by Amara Cole. Ethan read it twice, slower the second time. The room around him felt smaller. He looked at the timestamp. Current. Active. Real. Not past work, not old files now. Across the city, Amara closed her folder as someone reached for her hand. Not as a favor, as respect. They asked if she was available for a private advisory role. She did not answer immediately. She just held their gaze, steady, measured. Because for the first time, she was choosing where she stood. And back in his office, Ethan finally asked the one question he could not avoid anymore. Who else was about to see her value before he ever understood it? He did not plan to see her that soon. The elevator doors opened, and she was already inside. Calm, composed, like she belonged to the building now. Ethan stepped in without speaking, but the air shifted instantly. She did not turn to greet him. She did not need to. The silence pressed harder than any argument. He glanced at her, expecting hesitation, some trace of the woman he left. There was none. Her posture was steady, her gaze forward, untouched. The elevator stopped on the executive floor, and the doors opened again. 2 board members stood outside, waiting. They stepped aside when they saw her, not him. One of them smiled, extending a hand first to Amara. "We have been hoping to meet you," he said, voice measured with respect. Ethan paused behind her, just half a step too late. That had never happened before. She shook their hands without rush, without surprise. Like this was normal now. Like this was earned. Ethan followed, but no one addressed him first. The room ahead was already set, screens on, documents aligned. Her name appeared on the main slide. Not his. He stopped walking for a second. Just 1 second, but enough. Amara moved forward and took her seat at the center. Not beside anyone. At the center. A chair someone had clearly prepared for her. Ethan pulled out a chair across the table, slower than usual. His control felt thinner now, less certain. A senior partner leaned toward her, asking for her recommendation directly. No one asked Ethan to lead. No one deferred to him. He watched as she spoke, clear and precise. The same voice he once ignored now held the entire room. A question came from the far end. She answered before he could respond. The partner nodded immediately, taking notes. Ethan opened his mouth once, then closed it again. Timing slipped. Position shifted. He realized it too late. This was not his room anymore. Halfway through the meeting, someone projected a file onto the screen. System corrections. Strategic recoveries. Weeks of silent adjustments. All traced back to one name. Amara Cole. Ethan leaned forward, eyes narrowing. He recognized the work now. The patterns. The decisions he never understood. She had been holding everything together while he took credit for standing tall. The room did not react with shock. They reacted with confirmation. Like they already knew. Like he was the last one catching up. He looked at her then. Really looked, searching for something familiar. Regret, anger, anything. She met his gaze for 1 second. No emotion. Just clarity. Just distance. Then she looked away first. Not because she lost, but because she chose to. And in that moment, Ethan understood something he could not undo. She was no longer within his reach. The meeting ended, but no one stood immediately. They stayed, waiting for her next move, not his. As she gathered her things, one of the partners leaned closer, lowering his voice. "There is more we need to discuss, privately," he said. Ethan heard that. Every word. And for the first time, he realized the next conversation would happen without him, and whatever they were about to reveal would change everything he thought he still controlled. The room did not clear after the meeting, it shifted around her instead. People stayed seated, waiting for her to speak again. Ethan stood, expecting someone to follow him out. No one moved. A senior partner turned toward Amara first, asking for next steps. She did not rush her answer. She reviewed the file calmly. Then she pointed to one line, a detail everyone else missed. A delayed clause that would trigger penalties within 48 hours. The room went still, then active. Assistants moved quickly, calls started, screens updated in real time. Ethan stepped forward, trying to take control back. He gave an instruction, firm, direct. No one executed it. Not immediately. They looked at her instead. She did not even raise her voice. She just nodded once. and the team followed her direction instead. That moment did not pass quietly. It landed. Public. Clear. His authority had just been bypassed in front of everyone. Ethan's hand tightened at his side, but he said nothing. He watched as she rerouted the strategy within minutes. Numbers stabilized on the screen, red indicators shifting back to neutral. A problem that would have cost millions was contained before it could surface. One of the board members exhaled and said it out loud. That would have hit us by Friday. Another nodded, looking at Amara with open respect. Not surprise. Respect. Ethan felt it then, not just discomfort, but loss. Structural, real, visible. This was no longer about emotion. This was about control slipping away in front of witnesses. A junior analyst leaned toward his manager, whispering, but not quietly enough. He said Amara had handled 3 similar situations before. Quietly, without recognition. Ethan heard that. Every word. He turned slightly, trying to recall when those moments happened. He could not, because he never asked. Across the table, Julian spoke for the first time since the meeting resumed. He did not address Ethan. He addressed Amara directly. He asked if she would consider leading a dedicated advisory division. The room did not react with shock. They reacted like it made sense. Like it was overdue. Ethan looked around, searching for hesitation. There was none. No one questioned her capability. No one looked to him for approval. That was the clearest shift of all. He was no longer defining her place in that room. She was defining it herself. Amara closed the file slowly, considering the offer. She did not answer immediately. That silence carried weight now. A different kind of power. Then her phone buzzed once. She glanced at the screen, expression unchanged. But something in her posture shifted, subtle, controlled, deliberate. She stood, gathering her things with precision. The room waited again. Not for Ethan. For her. One of the partners asked if everything was all right. She gave a small nod, then said one sentence that changed the air again. There is something you should all see before we continue. Ethan's chest tightened, because whatever she was about to reveal was not just about the present. It was about the past he never understood, and the next step would take everything further out of his control. The screen lit up, and the room went quiet without being told. A timeline appeared, years of data layered across deals Ethan once celebrated. Milestones he used to call his defining wins. Amara stood beside the screen, not presenting, just allowing it to speak. A cursor moved, highlighting specific points, contract recoveries, risk reversals, silent corrections buried in footnotes. Each one linked back to internal logs. Each one signed, not publicly, but internally. Her name. Not once. Repeated. Consistent. Precise. Ethan leaned forward slowly, eyes scanning dates he remembered differently. A merger he claimed credit for suddenly showed late-night revisions. The exact night he was out celebrating. The numbers stabilized hours before announcement. Adjusted by her. A partner spoke quietly, almost to himself. We thought that was luck. Another voice followed, more certain. It was not luck. The screen shifted again, exposing a crisis avoided entirely. Regulatory flags cleared before reaching public notice. Ethan's breath slowed, because he remembered that week. He thought his team handled it. He praised the wrong people. He rewarded the wrong decisions. And she said nothing. Never corrected him. Never stepped forward. The room did not look at him now. They looked at her like they were finally catching up to something overdue. Julian crossed his arms, watching the screen with interest, not surprise. Like he already suspected this scale. Ethan felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not anger. Not denial. Displacement. His understanding of his own success was shifting under him. A senior board member spoke next, voice firm. He said these interventions saved the company more than once. Not minor support. Structural protection. The kind that keeps everything from collapsing. Ethan's hand rested on the table, but he did not move. Because now the pattern was clear. Every major success, he claimed, had a second layer. Hidden. Uncredited. Essential. And it all traced back to her. He looked at Amara again. But this time there was no version of her that fit his old perception. No quiet figure behind him. No overlooked presence. Only someone who had been carrying weight he never saw. And chose not to reveal. The screen paused on one final file. Restricted access. Marked confidential. A date Ethan recognized immediately. The week everything should have failed. The week he nearly lost everything. He remembered panic, confusion, then sudden recovery. He called it resilience. He called it leadership. The file opened halfway, then stopped. Access required higher authorization. The room shifted, tension rising again. Someone asked what was inside that file. Amara did not answer immediately. She looked at Ethan for the first time without distance, without softness, just clarity. Then she said one sentence, quiet, controlled. That is the part you never saw. Ethan felt it then, sharp and irreversible. Whatever was in that file was not just another correction. It was the truth behind the moment he believed proved his strength. And now, with everyone watching, he realized he was about to face her again, not as the man in control, but as someone who had never understood what she truly held together. He did not wait for the room to clear this time. As soon as she stepped out, he followed. Faster than he should have. Uncontrolled. The hallway lights felt colder than before. She walked ahead without hesitation, not slowing, not looking back. Amara, he said, sharper than intended. She stopped, but only for a second. Just enough to acknowledge, not enough to invite. She turned halfway, her expression steady, unreadable. We need to talk, he added, stepping closer now. Too close for the distance she was holding. She did not step back. She did not step forward. She stayed exactly where she was. About what? She asked, calm, even. No edge. That made it worse. Ethan exhaled, trying to regain control of the moment. About everything you just showed, he said. About what I did not know. Her gaze held his for a second longer this time. Not soft. Not hostile. Just clear. You did not ask, she replied. Simple. Final. He blinked, thrown off by how little she gave him. That is not fair, he said, voice tightening. You should have told me. She tilted her head slightly, like she was considering that. Then she shook it once. You would not have listened, she said. No anger. Just fact. The silence stretched again, heavier now. Ethan stepped closer, breaking it. Then tell me now, he said. Let me fix this. That word hung between them. Fix. She looked at him differently after that. Not with disbelief. With distance. This is not something you fix, she said quietly. Behind her, the elevator doors opened again. Two senior partners stepped out, stopping when they saw her. One of them spoke immediately. We are ready when you are, he said, addressing her first. Not Ethan. Never Ethan. She nodded once, not even glancing back at them fully. Like she expected that now. Like this was her pace. Her timing. Ethan felt it again, sharper this time. He was no longer the center of her decisions. Amara, he said again, more urgent now. Just give me 5 minutes. She looked at him one last time. Not searching. Not hesitating. Measuring. Then she stepped past him. Close enough for him to feel it. Not close enough to reach. You already had years, she said, voice low but clear. You used them. The partners moved with her, falling into step naturally. Not guiding. Following. The elevator doors began to close. Ethan took a step forward, instinctive, almost breaking his composure entirely. But he stopped. Because nothing about this was his to control anymore. The doors slid shut between them. And for the first time, he stood on the outside of something that used to belong to him. His phone buzzed in his hand again. A message from legal. Urgent review required. Subject line marked with her name. Ethan stared at it, then at the closed elevator doors. Because whatever was coming next was not just about what she did in the past. It was about what she was about to do now, and he had no place in it anymore. He did not wait for permission this time. He found her in the private conference room, the one reserved for final decisions. The door was half closed, but not locked. She was already inside, reviewing documents with quiet focus. He stepped in, and the room shifted instantly. Not because of him, because of what was about to end. She looked up once, calm as before, but this time she did not offer space. This will not take long, she said, before he could speak. That was new. Ethan stopped a few feet away, searching her face for something familiar. You cannot just walk away like this, he said. His voice was controlled, but it carried strain. She closed the folder in front of her slowly, placing both hands on the table. I already did, she replied. No hesitation. No softness. He stepped closer, pushing past the line she had set before. I did not. No, he said, more direct now. I did not understand what you were doing. She held his gaze, steady, unshaken. You did not try to, she answered. Simple. Clear. Final. Ethan exhaled, his composure slipping in ways he could not hide anymore. Then let me understand now, he said. Let me fix what I broke. That word again. Fix. She shook her head once, slower this time. You did not break one thing, she said. You broke everything that made me stay. The silence that followed did not move. It settled. Ethan felt it fully then, not confusion, not doubt. Loss. Complete and undeniable. I can change, he said, quieter now. I will do better. She listened, but nothing in her expression shifted. No hope. No hesitation. Just distance that could not be crossed. That is not for me anymore, she said. You can become better for someone else. He stared at her, that sentence landing harder than anything before, because it removed him completely. No second chance. No return. Just absence. Amara, he said, her name breaking in a way he could not control. She did not respond to it. Not the way she used to. You do not get to call me like that anymore, she said, quiet but firm. Not like you still have access. That was the moment everything shifted beyond repair. Ethan stepped back without realizing it. Just one step, but enough. Because now he understood. She was not waiting for him to catch up. She had already moved past him. Completely. The door behind her opened slightly as one of the partners stepped in, pausing when he saw them. He did not interrupt. He waited for her. Not for Ethan. Never Ethan. She picked up her folder, turning toward the door without looking back at him. This is where it ends, she said. No anger. No emotion left to give. Just truth. She walked past him, steady, untouched, leaving the space behind her empty in a way that could not be filled again. Ethan did not follow this time. He could not. Because for the first time, he knew there was nothing left to reach for. And as the door closed behind her, one final realization settled in fully. The future he thought he could rebuild no longer included her at all. The room did not feel the same after she left, not louder, not quieter, just empty in a way that could not be replaced. Ethan stood there longer than he needed to, his hand resting on the back of a chair no one else would sit in now. Across the building, Amara stepped into a new office that did not carry his name, did not carry his shadow, only her decisions. The glass walls reflected a different version of her, not someone trying to be seen, but someone who no longer needed to be. A team waited for her inside, not out of obligation, but out of trust. They did not question her presence. They expected it. She reviewed the next set of plans with calm precision, her voice steady, her direction clear. No hesitation. No second-guessing. Just forward movement. A partner asked for her final approval, and she gave it without looking back. That was the difference now. There was no pull behind her. No unfinished weight. No need to prove anything to anyone who once overlooked her. In another building, Ethan sat alone at the head of a table that used to feel like power. The reports in front of him were stable again, but not because of him. He knew that now. Every number felt heavier, every decision quieter. His team spoke less, waiting for direction that did not come as easily as before. He did not interrupt them. He did not correct them. He just listened, realizing how much he had missed when he thought he understood everything. A message remained open on his screen, her name still there, not as a partner, not as a wife, but as a closed chapter he could not reopen. He leaned back slowly, the silence around him no longer something he controlled. It was something he had to sit with. Across the city, Amara stood by the window as the sun lowered over the skyline. The light hit her face, soft and steady, not asking anything from her. She did not reach for her phone. She did not check for messages. She simply stood there, grounded in a life she had built without waiting for anyone to see her. The distance between them was no longer measured in miles or rooms, but in something deeper, something final. He had spent years looking past her, and by the time he finally saw her clearly, she no longer needed to be seen. By him at all.